Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lovers and seekers, those who are lost and those who are found. Tonight I will be reading from the compilation titled Outlaw Creative, The Geometry of Life. We will be hearing from the chapter titled Hear Me Roar, The Acoustic Mirror in an Age of Signals. That being said, let's get started, shall we? Hear me roar, the acoustic mirror in an age of signals. There were once concrete ears pointed at the horizon. They stood along the southern coast of England in the 1920s and 30s, vast parabolic walls, curved deliberately to gather the low rumble of approaching aircraft. Before radar matured, before satellites and digital grids stitched the sky into coordinates, nations listened. Sound traveled across water. Engines announced themselves long before they were visible. The acoustic mirror did not judge the sound. It did not care about flags or ideology. It cared about vibration. It bent incoming waves and concentrated them at a focal point. Seconds were bought. Minutes were earned. Reaction time was extended. Sound bent time. That was its mercy. But it was also merciless, because every roar revealed trajectory. Every emission exposed position. 1. The modern theater, media as acoustic battlefield. The concrete ears are gone. The listening field remains. Today, roar travels not over water, but through networks. Declarations are not carried by propellers, but by platforms. Broadcasts, headlines, posts, movements, they are engines. Hear me roar has become cultural doctrine. Volume equals presence. Outrage equals vitality. Visibility equals power. But the acoustic mirror has multiplied. It now lives in servers, algorithms, analytics dashboards, sentiment trackers, intelligence briefings, and public memory. Every emission generates telemetry. Every declaration leaves signature. Tone can be measured. Cadence can be mapped. Escalation patterns can be predicted. Coherence or fracture becomes detectable through repetition and stress. Modern media warfare is acoustic warfare. Narratives are artillery. Shock is air raid. Outrage is psychological bombardment. And every roar is traceable. The louder the emission, the clearer the signature. A movement that roars continuously reveals structure continuously. A leader who shouts dominance broadcasts vulnerability if the cadence fractures. A regime that escalates rhetoric reveals strategic impatience. Roar is not anonymous. Roar is fingerprint. The acoustic mirror listens beyond volume. It hears strain. It hears overextension. It hears coordination, or its absence. The roar meant to intimidate becomes data. In this theater, stealth is discipline. Listening is leverage. Measured emission outmaneuvers spectacle. The side that roars incessantly maps itself. The side that listens accumulates advantage. 2. The surgical principle, emission equals exposure. Strip it down. Every sound emitted into a field enters a system. Every system returns information. The return may be applause, it may be silence, it may be resistance, but it is never nothing. In wartime Britain, the roar of bombers provided early warning. In modern networks, the roar of ideology provides predictive warning. In personal conflict, the roar of anger reveals fault lines. Emission equals exposure. Volume increases visibility. Visibility increases vulnerability. This is not moral commentary. It is structural law. The roar that projects dominance also reveals location. The louder the broadcast, the easier the mapping. The acoustic mirror does not silence. It interprets. It bends incoming signal into clarity, and clarity alters time. In early warning systems, seconds mattered. The future impact was pulled slightly forward. Reaction became possible. In digital systems, roar collapses time. Reaction becomes instantaneous. Escalation accelerates. Consequences arrive before reflection forms. Sound bends time. Time bends sound. Feedback loops tighten. The field grows volatile. The system becomes unstable. Those who do not understand the mirror believe noise equals strength. Those who understand it know that coherence equals strength. Noise is expensive. Resonance endures. 3. The inner theater, the personal acoustic mirror. The battlefield is not only external. There is an interior listening surface. The body hears what the mouth says. The nervous system hears what the mind insists. The psyche hears the tone beneath the declaration. Internal roar produces internal echo. Sustained outrage elevates cortisol. Sustained projection depletes energy. Sustained performance fractures coherence. The body is an acoustic mirror. It bends emotional sound into physiological return. The echo arrives as fatigue, as tension, as agitation, as collapse. The one who roars internally without listening to the return ages faster. Reaction windows shrink. Time compresses under stress. The present becomes saturated with anticipated conflict. Here the Kozyrev dimension enters. Time bending is constant. Memory bends backward. Anticipation bends forward. Sound bends reaction time. Reaction bends identity. Identity bends future emission. The curvature never stops. The illusion of linear time collapses under pressure. Distortion remains. The question is not whether bending occurs. It is who understands it. 4. The writer as acoustic mirror. Now pivot. The writer is not the roar. The writer is the mirror. Outlaw creative does not exist to amplify noise. It exists to bend signal into clarity. A writer gathers a mission. Cultural roar, personal roar, political roar, psychological roar, and concentrates it. The parabolic wall is language. The focal point is attention. The act of writing bends incoming waveforms into structure. The writer listens to the roar of the age and returns not amplification, but revelation. This is dangerous work, because the true acoustic mirror does not flatter. It exposes cadence. It reveals fracture. It identifies strain. It pulls forward consequences embedded in tone. A writer who understands the acoustic mirror does not compete in volume. He measures frequency. He identifies instability. He hears the thinness beneath projection. He writes not to shout louder, but to reveal what the shouting contains. The roar says, "Hear me." The mirror replies, "Listen to yourself." In an age of media warfare, the writer becomes counterweight, not by silence, but by curvature. He bends sound into insight. He bends time by extending reflection windows. He slows reaction. He stretches seconds into thought. That is strategic resistance. The writer as acoustic mirror is both benevolent and merciless. Benevolent because clarity prevents escalation. Merciless because clarity dismantles illusion. And whether the mirror is welcomed or condemned depends on what stands before it. 5. The manifesto core. Understand this. Every emission enters a field. Every field listens. Every listening surface bends signal into information. Information alters time. Time alters consequence. Roar if necessary. But know that roar is not proof of strength. Coherence is proof of strength. Listening is proof of intelligence. Reflection is proof of discipline. The concrete ears of the 1930s did not fire weapons. They bought time. The writer does not fire weapons. He buys thought. In a world addicted to roar, the most subversive act is structured listening. In a culture of escalation, the most powerful move is measured emission. The acoustic mirror does not eliminate conflict. It clarifies it, and clarity determines survival.